that feeling, right? Reaching for something sweet. Maybe it's a biscuit with your tea. Maybe it's one of those diet sodas. We all crave that sweetness. It's just, well, part of being human, I guess. Plays a huge role in our lives, often without us even thinking twice. But what if there's more to it? What if that simple desire hides something, well, way more complicated? Today we're doing a deep dive into something we're calling the sugar paradox: health, habits, and hidden sweeteners. Our mission here is to sort of pull back the curtain. We want to show you the really complex, sometimes contradictory ways both regular sugar and artificial sweeteners affect us. And it's not just about the calories, as you'll see. We're talking everything from your gut health, that hidden world inside you, to your skin, even your brain function. So for you listening, the goal is to pull out the really key pieces of information from the latest science reviews, big studies, health guidelines. We want to give you a clear, balanced view so you can make choices about sweetness that feel right for you. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really get this paradox, we have to start at the beginning with the basic problem of dietary sugar, especially added sugar, the stuff put into foods, because its health impacts are pretty profound, and often they're surprisingly hidden.
Right, and we're not just talking candy bars and cake here, are we? Added sugar seems to be everywhere.
Oh, definitely. It lurks in savory foods too, sauces, breads. And one of the biggest concerns is how it drives inflammation. Think about it like this. Too much sugar, especially fructose, makes your liver work overtime producing these things called free fatty acids. And these aren't harmless. They can trigger inflammatory responses, generate nasty molecules called reactive oxygen species, ROS. It's like internal rusting, causing cell damage. This is a major player in conditions like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, potentially pushing it towards the more serious NAN. It's kind of a silent process.
Wow, silent damage. So it's not just making us gain weight, it's actively harming us inside. How does that connect to, say, heart health?
Directly. For your cardiometabolic health, more sugar means higher blood pressure. Studies show pretty significant jumps, around 6.9 millimeter Hg systolic, 5.6 diastolic. It also messes with your blood fats, higher triglycerides, higher total cholesterol, higher LDL, the bad kind. And what's really striking, you need to know this, is that this happens even if your weight stays the same. Then there's diabetes risk. The data is quite stark. Just a small increase in sugar availability, like 150 calories worth per person per day, was linked to a 1.1% jump in diabetes rates. That risk is 11 times higher than if those calories came from other sources. It really singles out sugar as uniquely problematic.
11 times. Okay, that puts it in perspective. And it's not just internal, right? People talk about sugar and skin problems. Is that real?
Oh, it's very real. There's this process called glycation. Basically, excess sugar molecules latch onto proteins like collagen and elastin in your skin.
What does it keep skin firm?
Exactly. Glycation makes them stiff, brittle, weak. So you get more wrinkles, sagging, dullness. It literally ages your skin faster. You often see it more rapidly in people with diabetes because of the higher blood sugar levels. Plus, those sugar highs cause insulin spikes, which ramps up oil production. Hello, clogged pores, acne breakouts, and it makes existing inflammation worse, too.
So my mom was right about chocolate causing spots. It's wild. What about our brains, though? Surely our control center is safe.
Unfortunately, no. The brain is quite vulnerable. Long-term high blood sugar, like in poorly controlled diabetes, can disrupt what's called functional connectivity.
Like crossed wires?
Sort of, yeah. Different brain regions don't communicate as well. It can also lead to brain shrinkage, atrophy, and damage to tiny blood vessels in the brain. And the potential consequences. Things like cognitive difficulties, memory issues, even a higher risk for vascular dementia.
Okay, this is a lot. It makes total sense why health organizations are stepping in. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
What are they actually telling us? What are the limits?
Well, the World Health Organization, the WHO, recommends keeping added sugar to no more than 25 grams a day. That's about 6¼ teaspoons. They actually say aiming for under 5% of your daily calories from added sugar is even better for health.
Okay.
The American Heart Association, AHA, is similar. Max 6 teaspoons for women, 9 for men. But, and this is crucial, they're talking mainly about added sugars. The sugar naturally in fruit or milk comes with fiber, vitamins, other good stuff that changes how your body handles it.
Right. That distinction is key. So with all these warnings about added sugar, it's easy to see the appeal of artificial sweeteners, the promise of sweetness without the guilt.
Precisely. These non-nutritive sweeteners, NNS, they've been around a surprisingly long time. Saccharin dates back to 1877. Their draw is obvious. Intense sweetness, minimal or 0 calories, some are thousands of times sweeter than sugar. So they became hugely popular for weight management, blood sugar control, especially for people with diabetes.
And we see them everywhere now,
Yep.
right? Diet drinks, yogurts, sugar-free snacks. Which ones are most common?
The FDA in the US has approved 6 as additives: advantame, neotame, sucralose, saccharin, aspartame, and acesulfame K, often called ACE-K. Then you have naturally derived ones like stevia, the compounds stevicide and herbaceous A, and monk fruit extract. These are generally seen as safe, what they call GRAS status.
But this deep dive, looking at the sources, it suggests this sweet solution isn't quite so simple. This is where the paradox really kicks in, isn't it? And it seems like our gut microbes are center stage. Why is the gut microbiome so important here?
The gut microbiome. It's this incredible complex ecosystem inside you. Trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses. It's like an internal rainforest, absolutely vital for your metabolism, your immune system, even your mood. When the system gets out of balance, we call it dysbiosis. It's like weeds taking over the garden. It's linked to widespread inflammation, metabolic problems. It's a big deal. Now, NNS were originally thought to be inert, just passing through, but newer research suggests even tiny amounts reaching the gut can actually influence this delicate ecosystem.
Okay, so they are interacting down there. That changes things. What are studies finding about these interactions?
Well, this is where it gets messy, hence the paradox. The findings are, frankly, inconsistent. Animal studies, especially in mice, often paint a worrying picture. They sometimes show a drop in beneficial bacteria like bifidobacterium, lactobacillus, and a rise in potentially problematic ones like Clostridium difficile or some E. coli strains. This kind of shift could promote inflammation or gut issues. Specific studies on ACE-K, sucralose, saccharin, neotame in mice have linked them to these changes, sometimes even to weight gain or inflammation in the animals.
That does sound concerning. But, mouse studies don't always translate perfectly to humans, do they?
That's the critical point. Human studies generally show much milder effects or sometimes no significant changes at all. It really highlights the difficulty in just applying animal findings to us. You might see one human study on, say, sucralose showing some dysbiosis or slightly worse glucose tolerance in some people, while another study finds nothing significant.
Why such different results?
Oh, loads of reasons. Different study designs dosage, how long people consumed it. Was it the pure sweetener or a commercial product with fillers like maltodextrin? Huge metabolic differences between species. And maybe most importantly, massive individual variation between people genetics, your baseline diet, lifestyle, your existing gut microbiome. All these play a role. Which leads to the big question. How might NNS actually be interacting with our gut microbes?
Yeah, if it's not always a dramatic effect, what are the theories? How could they be subtly changing things?
There are a few proposed mechanisms. One idea is they might directly affect the gut lining, maybe impacting mucus production or the integrity of the gut barrier.
Yeah.
This could indirectly harm beneficial bacteria that rely on that environment, like Akkermansia. Another thought is some NNS might have mild antibiotic-like effects, maybe damaging bacterial cell membranes. And then there's the possibility that our gut microbes can actually metabolize some NNS, using them as food. This changes the microbe's own metabolic activity, including how they produce short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Yeah, things like butyrate, acetate, propionate. They're super important for our gut health, energy, and immune function, and they directly influence how we handle glucose. So altering SCFA production could have knock-on effects. It's really intricate stuff.
Okay, so it's clear that both regular sugar and artificial sweeteners have, well, downsides and complexities. Neither seems like a perfect answer. Where does that leave us with our cravings, our habits? Feels like a constant battle.
You've hit on the addiction question. Sugar definitely triggers those feel-good chemicals in the brain, endorphins, which are like natural opioids, and dopamine, the reward and craving chemical. Animal studies here are pretty dramatic. They show sugar withdrawal symptoms that look a lot like withdrawal from drugs like cocaine or heroin. Some studies even found cocaine-addicted rats would choose sugar over cocaine.
Wow.
Now, whether it's true addiction in humans is debated, but lots of people report very real withdrawal-like symptoms when they cut back on sugar.
What kind of symptoms are we talking about? Does it feel like the flu?
It can, yeah. People report anxiety, being irritable, sleep problems, feeling low or depressed, trouble concentrating, dizziness, just feeling wiped out, fatigue, sometimes nausea. And of course, intense cravings, not just for sweets, but often for starchy carbs like chips or pasta too. It varies a lot from person to person. But usually, these feelings fade after a few days or maybe a couple of weeks as your body adjusts. And then there's the keto flu some people get if they cut all carbs drastically. That's the body switching fuel sources. Symptoms can include bad breath, constipation, fatigue, headache, sleep issues, upset stomach. Again, usually temporary.
Intense. For something we see as just a treat. And there's some really striking research about early life exposure, isn't there? Like what happens in childhood echoes for decades.
Absolutely. That McGill University study using UK Biobank data from the WWII rationing era is fascinating. It found that children who experienced sugar restrictions during their first 1,000 days, including time in the womb, had a much lower risk of major diseases later in life.
How much lower?
Up to 35% lower risk for type 2 diabetes, 20% lower risk for high blood pressure. And incredibly, even just the mother's restricted sugar intake during pregnancy seemed to offer this protection. What's also interesting is the amount of sugar allowed during rationing under 40 grams a day is pretty close to today's health guidelines.
That's profound. Thinking about how early life sets the stage. Okay, so if sugar contributes to all these problems, is the damage reversible? Can we actually undo some of it if we cut back?
Yes, definitely. The good news is you can absolutely see significant improvements by reducing added sugar. Weight management often gets easier just by cutting those empty calories. Your diabetes risk drops as your blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity improve. You interrupt that dangerous cycle. And studies have even shown swapping sugary drinks for low-calorie sweetened ones can lead to reductions in body weight and body fat, which is interesting.
And what about the skin? Can we really turn back the clock a bit on that glycation damage?
You can certainly slow it down and improve skin health. Less glycation means potentially fewer wrinkles over time, maybe less acne, better hydration, reduced redness. Your skin might heal better and just look more vibrant. Your immune system gets stronger too because you're lowering that constant low-level inflammation. This helps your body fight off bugs more effectively. And those powerful cravings, they genuinely do lessen over time as you break that dopamine reward cycle.
So it's not just avoiding the bad stuff, it's gaining real positives across the board.
Exactly. Better brain health, lower risk of depression, cognitive decline, maybe sharper memory. Better appetite control as your sensitivity to leptin, the fullness hormone, potentially gets restored. More stable energy levels without the sugar highs and crashes, which might even improve your sleep. A healthier heart with lower blood pressure and better blood fat profiles and, fewer cavities. Less food for those decay-causing bacteria. The benefits really stack up.
Okay, so we've journeyed through this sugar paradox, the risks of added sugar, the complexities of artificial sweeteners. What does this boil down to for you listening, for your choices day to day? Let's get practical.
Right, practical steps. First, really focus on added sugars. Check labels. It's not about demonizing the natural sugar in a piece of fruit. Second, think gradual reduction. Going cold turkey can be tough with those withdrawal symptoms. Cutting back bit by bit is often more sustainable.
That sounds much less intimidating. Smart.
Third, become a label detective. Seriously. You'll be amazed where sugar hides salad dressings, pasta sauces, bread, yogurt. Fourth, hydrate smart. Water is best. Unsweetened tea, coffee, dish the sugary sodas and juices mostly. Fifth, use natural sweetness, berries on cereal, banana in oatmeal. Sixth, try cutting sugar in recipes, baking, cooking, reduce it by a third, maybe even half. Often you won't miss it. Use extracts like vanilla or almond, spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, unsweetened applesauce can work too.
Good tips. And it sounds like it's about more than just food swaps, right? Lifestyle matters too.
Hugely. Seventh, aim for balanced meals, lean protein, complex carbs like whole grains, veggies, healthy fats. Get enough fiber, it helps with fullness and blood sugar. Eighth, don't underestimate sleep. Being tired cranks up cravings. Ninth, move your body regularly. Even short walks can help manage cravings and metabolism. 10th, manage stress. Stress boosts cortisol, which actually worsens those glycation effects on your skin. And finally, maybe view those non-nutritive sweeteners as a temporary tool, a bridge perhaps, to help your taste buds adjust to less sweetness overall, rather than a permanent fix. The WHO echoes this. Don't rely on NNS alone for weight control. Focus on a whole foods-based diet overall. If you connect this to the bigger picture, look, both sugar and sweeteners are complex. There's no simple good guy, bad guy story here. They interact with our bodies, our gut, our brains in really intricate, sometimes paradoxical ways. Making informed choices really means understanding these nuances, looking beyond the headlines, and finding a balance that works for your health.
So thinking about everything we've unpacked from those crucial first 1,000 days to the hidden ways sweetness works in our bodies, maybe the question for you is, what's one small mindful choice you can make today? Just one thing to rethink how sweetness fits into your life. We really encourage you to keep exploring this for yourself. Maybe start by noticing those added sugars or simply enjoying the natural flavor of whole foods a bit more.